How can resolving our intentions resolve our actions? Hey, this is Steve, and this is the Career Competitor Coach's Corner. Tis the season for folks to start looking towards the end of the year and contemplate a New Year resolution that they can go after next year. Gym memberships have gone underutilized. The fridge or the pantry remains filled with not so calorie-friendly options. And days remain filled with habits and routines that don't allow for a so-called better use of my time. Thousands upon millions the world over dance this dance of New Year resolutions every year. And sadly, statistics show that it's 20 more times likely it will end with a failed resolution instead of a new habit or lifestyle choice being formed. In a recent coming together of my worlds, I found myself in church listening to my pastor speak on the importance of not simply believing the gospel and its messages, but believing in it. This sermon came at the end of a week where I was putting final touches on a speech I recently made to a room of business professionals, emphasizing the power and potential detriment of self-talk, which all stems from a belief in ourselves. As I sat with this thought for a little while, I gradually saw the causal effect of how our inability to have belief in something leads to a state of feeling or being stuck. And while I have referenced this very state of being stuck many times before, an important piece that often goes without being discussed is how the sense of being stuck is not a destination issue or a process issue. It's a personal matter. Think back to a failed New Year's resolution, for example, that you or those closest to you have had in the past. The main issue wasn't the size of the goal or the approach required to pursue it. It was the inability to become unstuck from old habits, routines, and perspectives that did not serve the resolution trying to be achieved. Becoming unstuck starts with believing in something. And as so often is the case on this podcast, my suggestion is to look no further than that person in the mirror. An idea or vision you might have will likely become something you believe as you find evidence that such ideas and visions can be realized. If you have seen it done, of course it can be achieved. Of course it can happen. You can believe it because you can see it out there in the world. But while you believe what can be done, do you believe in yourself to be the one that brings this idea or vision you have to fruition? I have seen it all too often. Someone bought into an idea that they see as something they want for themselves and assume that's enough to prompt true action. But in reality, it's merely a daydream, a hope, a wanting for more. It's not enough to facilitate true action, and it's not enough to connect why you are the one who can achieve it. How can you start pouring more into yourself in order to build your self-belief in you? You might have the greatest of intentions to go and achieve a goal or dream of yours. But what if these very intentions you currently possess could be strengthened by building that belief in yourself? Despite the fact you have had good intentions up to this point, you might find yourself stuck. So stop making this about the actions required to become unstuck and focus on investing in the intention behind the action. Intentional action, if you will. You see, intentional action insists on you putting more work into the intention than the action itself. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of folks in the intentions mean nothing without action corner ready to beat me over the head with their insights, but just pause and hear me out for 1 second. Is it possible that we have been misrepresenting this entire statement? What if the issue all along was not the inaction, but the conviction in which the action was performed? When you work in sports as long as I once did, you see countless action going on around you that does not lead to improvement. In fact, it leads to regression. You have people showing up, taking action, and somehow not improving. And then my folks in that same corner that represent intention means nothing without action shift their stance to, well, they just don't care about what they're doing. That's right, they don't. Because the issue in sport, just like in any other area of life, is never as simple as just taking action. It's about getting crystal clear on why you should care about the action. How can you commit completely to the action? How can you justify to yourself that this very action is the one you must own and embrace in order to get to where you want to get to? Intentional action is the game changer that takes you from existing in what you do to excelling in what you do. It solves inaction with a reaction to what you are capable of and what you are willing to do about it. So, as you look towards next year, if you are stuck, unsure, or hesitating about what to do next before you start looking at restructuring goals or assessing the approach you are taking, start inwardly. Reflect, self-assess, and personally challenge yourself around why you currently don't believe in yourself. Compile any thoughts and reasons that come to mind in the form of a list and stare at that very list dead straight in the eye so you can become truly familiar with the belief you have in yourself currently, or the lack thereof. Then and only then should you consider where the work begins to gradually create a belief in yourself, to form the intention your actions have been crying out for. Who knows? If you do this work over the next couple of months, next year you might just be part of that 8% that will see their resolution make it from New Year's Day to New Year's Eve. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Coach's Corner. I appreciate you always dialing in and giving me your attention for these 7 minutes or so. However this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Steve@careercompetitor.com is one way that you can reach out. Also, you can head on to Instagram @careercompetitor and shoot me a message over there as well. Of course, you can find me on LinkedIn, Steve Mellor. I would just love that feedback. It means so much, and it's so powerful and influential in terms of how I make time to ensure I continue to deliver these episodes and the way in which I deliver them as well. Hey, maybe you could call it my New Year's resolution as I look 2 months out now from the new year and think, how can I make the episodes that I do with Coach's Corner even better? So help me out with my resolution, because I know I just helped you out with yours. But in the meantime, best of luck, as always, with anything and everything that you've got going on within your world. And I look forward to doing this all again with you very soon. Bye for now.